I'm Jacob Rettig. I'm doing a presentation over information technology in this part of the Business Communications Online course. 40% of the world's population has access to the internet, about twice that amount in the United States at 85%. Technology is a booming industry, and that is one reason why I decided to go into it. What will you hear? Well, first, the history of computers, then what is required to run a computer, what is the internet, and what are operating systems. When was the first computer made? Well, you see, it's kind of a iffy topic because the term computer was used in the late 1600s to say long math problem. It's considered as need to be computerized or be thought out and done well. So the way computers, it's kind of iffy, but it's hard to see when it first made. But the first digital one was in 1936. And first PC to be considered a PC, first computer to be considered a PC was IBM model 5150. Now, you might be asking, what makes a PC? Well, it's what's inside. Inside a computer, there's a CPU, motherboard, power supply, storage, RAM, and BIOS. The CPU tells other pieces to do something, and the motherboard is the main piece that connects everything. So if everything tries to come together, the motherboard is the one that tells each piece what to do, but the CPU is the one that carries it out. So those are two biggest parts, but all of them have an important role. The storage and RAM, both are the same thing. With storage is short-term storage, it's a lot bigger, but what RAM does is it's random access memory, which that's where all the data goes, and then it's stored on there until you need to call it up. So it's kind of like the background task. So it's not like the storage where you store files. And then the power supply. The power supply sounds just like what it is. It gives power to the entire system. The BIOS is the one piece in here that you cannot actually see because this is a firmware. It tells the software how to communicate with the hardware. And it's also the BIOS is also the first thing you see when you boot up the computer. Well, next question brings us, what is the internet? Well, it's a large network of computers, and by definition of network, it's a communication of a lot of different things, or people. What's required? Well, many times a network card, but that's usually in a computer, and an IP address. And like, well, what's that? It's internet provider address. Imagine you're sending out a piece of mail. If you can send it out, but the address that you're trying to go to is not there, you need an IP address or address in general for you to get that letter back. So if you send out a letter, don't have any return address, you're not going to get anything back. So you need an IP address so that it knows where to send it. Which brings us to our next thing. Well, you can't surf the internet without operating system. So what is an operating system? It's by definition the software that supports a computer's basic functions such as scheduling tasks, executing applications, and controlling peripherals. Peripherals are like mice, keyboard, and some headphones. How and who creates the operating system? Well, coders write code for BIOS to read and distribute it out. It tells the motherboard, which tells the CPU to carry out the function. And what are some common types of operating systems? Well, the three most common one is Windows, Mac, and Linux. And Linux is actually also the same thing as Android. So, okay, so now that you learned a little bit of history, hardware, and operating systems of a computer, maybe you'll be able to fix your computer next time something goes wrong with it. If not, just call the IT guy. Thank you for your time.